Denton Community Television, operated by the Mayborn School of Journalism, the University of North Texas.
Follow your dreams, and they say, do what you want, and money will come. Lots of people have lots of dreams.
Hello, I'm Mike Miller. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you're having a great day. My guest today has been serving the community his entire life with music, studying music, performing, and has been a music teacher, teacher of music therapy. I'm very honored to have Mr. Joe Pinson here today.
Good to be here, Mike.
Good to see you. So you've retired from the TWU Music Therapy Department.
Yeah, I retired in May of 2013, last year.
How many years were you there total?
I was there for 16 years.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you co-authored a book that's been used in that field.
Yeah, there's a textbook called Music Therapy in Principle and Practice, and I co-authored it with Dr. Don Michel, he was a part of the faculty when I first joined the faculty, but he passed away a couple of years ago. But the textbook's been used, I think, quite a bit in the field.
How many students did you have over there generally in the program?
Music therapy program, it's not very large, I mean comparatively, but I think it's the largest program in Texas. We've got 175 students in, in that field, yeah.
And they go out to work in school districts and things like that?
Yeah, the job market for music therapists now, that we've got a lot working in public schools. We've got some working in state institutions like the Denton State Supported Living Center on the south side of town. We've got some working in state hospitals. You know, we have a state hospital over in well, there's one in Terrell, and then there's also one in Wichita Falls. And then a big growth area for music therapists now is the senior population, you know, which has been growing and growing in the last several years, and so there's a need for music therapists serving seniors with various disabling conditions. And then there are a lot of music therapists that are in what they call private practice. In other words, they'll have private students come to their studio, or they'll have some kind like a contract, you know, 1 or 2 days a week at a nursing home. So they put all that together, and that makes their employment, which works out well for some of them, because in that kind of situation, all of their expenses are tax deductible, and so it works out well for them that way.
Your first degree was in music education, and then you got a master's in theory and composition.
That's correct.
Later.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you've been involved. You were in orchestras and played trombone and.
Yeah, I was. Trombone was my principal instrument when I was at the undergraduate level, and I continued that for a few years after graduation. But then I rested for 40 years. So when I finally decided to bring it back, you know, these last few years, it's been kind of a struggle to get it going again. But I have a Dixieland band that I enjoy playing with, and so I can handle most of the licks in the Dixieland Band.
What is the name of the Dixieland Band? Excuse me.
Mr. Joe Jazz Band. Mm-hmm.
Dixieland, where did that really originate?
You know, I don't know about the term Dixieland. I think some people find the term Dixie offensive, but I never have, so that's why I use it. But that's also why I call mine the Mr. Joe Jazz Band, because it's essentially New Orleans jazz. New Orleans jazz is what makes up Dixieland, even though, you know, it didn't totally develop in New Orleans. You know, there was Memphis, and there were other towns on the Mississippi River where that sort of music grew up.
Who were some of the more famous Dixieland composers?
Well, let's see. I don't know about composers. Of course, Louis Armstrong was one of the great musicians. Then let's see.
Some of those Dixieland Standards.
We pick up a lot of just things from standard composers like Hoagy Carmichael.
Yeah.
And then Fats Waller wrote some You'll Find Dixieland things. So
that kind of originated, what, about 50 years ago, would you think, or a little bit further back?
Well, it would be the first recorded example of Dixieland, you know, which really was a step in making it more popular for the general public, was in 1917. A group called the Original Dixieland Jazz Band, and that's a lot like, you know, they've got a place in New Orleans called Preservation Hall, and the type of music that they play is a lot like the Original Dixieland Jazz Band.
I know we had a Dixieland band at my high school in North Louisiana. It's quite popular.
Yeah, it's still a pretty popular medium. I think, you know, it's a certainly not top 40 category, but it's still.
But
pretty,
it's
still
enjoyable, fun music.
Yeah, it's fun music. It is. Mm-hmm.
And you've been playing that around here at local venues for the last few years.
Yeah, at least 10 or 15 years. I wasn't doing it when I first started at TWU, so it's probably been more like maybe the last 10 years or so I've been doing the Dixieland.
How many people are in that group generally?
About 7.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You play the accordion also.
I play the accordion sometimes, not in that band, but play the accordion sometimes. I've used the accordion a lot in music therapy sessions because
Really?
it's a real good instrument to lead songs. You know,
Yeah.
It really gets the attention of your participants. So I've used it there, and I was a charter member of the of the Not So Hot Club, playing accordion. But when I realized I was in over my head, I turned in my resignation. Of course, now they have people like Carl Finch and Jenny Mack and people who really know how to play the instrument that come in, sit in with them from time to time.
What is this about the Denton Bell Band?
The Denton Bell Band, and I hope during this program sometime we'll be able to show you a clip. The Denton Bell Band really originated in 1978 when I was still working for what was in the Denton State School.
Is that right?
And I started using bells out there,
Mm-hmm.
and then through the years, some of the folks that were residents out there at the time have moved to the community. So in probably about 2000 or so, I established a community group that we call the Denton Bell Band. So these are all folks that have, some of them, as I say, been ringing bells since '78, but we get together once a year, and we take a 3-day tour every spring to other parts of Texas. And it's a real good thing for them because most of them don't have the opportunity to travel, you know, and this is a big thing for them to go out for 3 days. We do 8 performances in 3 days.
Really?
And through the years, we've played in over 100 Texas cities, so we've really been out there doing our thing. But audiences seem to enjoy it, and of course the ringers enjoy it. And as I say, I hope sometime, someplace in this program, you can show them a clip of the Denton Bell Band so they'll know what it's about.
And I've watched that a few times back in the past. It is really interesting. Mm-hmm. You've had a lot of positive response to that. You even got a national endowment.
I didn't. Well, we receive an annual grant from the Greater Denton Arts Council, and they're affiliated with the National Endowment for the Arts and Texas Commission on the Arts, and some of those other larger organizations. They're affiliated with them, so some of their money comes through Greater Denton Arts Council to the Bell Band because we get an annual grant from them.
You have some CDs out as well.
I've got 2 CDs that I produced myself. They're essentially comedy tunes or tunes that are kind of on the edge. And I've got, do you want to see them or not?
Sure. Well,
Okay.
Welcome to My Hat. That was your first CD.
We got Welcome to My Hat was the first CD. That was in 2003.
And I've heard you do a number of those songs at various places.
Then in 2009, I did the Unsinkable, Mr. Joe.
How many songs are on that?
This only has 10 songs. I think this one has 14. But those came out of my experience at TWU. The students at some point, after hearing me sing and play in classes, and I always told them, I said no one would pay to hear me sing and play, but you did. But anyhow, they encouraged me to do the open mic, which I'd never done before, and
Really?
I went down there downtown and did the open mic. I kind of got hooked on it, and so after doing the open mic for a while, I started writing these comedy songs to do on the open mic, and so it was just kind of a thing that evolved, but partly due to the fact that the students encouraged me to do the open mic.
I thought that was nice too, how you actually took your classes down there at the end of the semester.
Yeah, we used to. We eventually made the open mic part of the end of semester activity. We'd take our students down there and I'll have them do something on the open mic. And some of them were a little bit reluctant, but I think most of them appreciated it because it gave them a chance to put their stuff up in front of an audience.
Sure.
And see what the reaction was, and so I think it's a very positive experience for most of them.
Oh, I'm sure. But a lot of times it was a packed house and they had to play in front of a big crowd. Yeah. You're the composer in residence at the Bayless Selby House.
Yeah, that's a thing I took on since I retired, and thus far, I have to admit I haven't produced as much as I'd like to down there. All it is just a desk with a computer, and I go in there when I can and spend some time, and I'm working on a thing now called the Sam Bass Boogie. But I'm supposed to write things that have something to do with Denton or Texas or something like that, and the idea is to write things for school bands and choirs and things like that. And as I say, the time that I've spent down there, and part of that has had to do with health and family and some other things, but the part of the time I've been able to spend down there so far hasn't been too great. But I hope to spend more time down there and produce something.
How long have you been associated with them?
With Bayless Selby, almost a year now.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw Alpha Dance and what the other recording you had out there. You were doing some band recordings.
Yeah, I've done some band things through the years, and that's really a hope of mine at this point is to learn more about writing for band. I've written for band ever since I was at the undergraduate level. It's just that the last several years, I haven't done much in that area. But it's an area that I tend to understand because I've been in bands, most of my life, and I tend to understand the medium. So I'm working on band compositions now. That's sort of my focus, as opposed to the comedy songs and other things that I've done.
Well, that sounds great, and I really appreciate you coming down today, and we look forward to having you play some music for us. And you guys stay tuned to check out Mr. Joe playing some songs. Thanks so much for watching.
Well, I was shopping down at the thrift store one day last week, not because I'm thrifty, but because I'm cheap. This hat on the shelf was sitting there all alone, so I took it down, brushed it off, and tried it on. It fit me like a glove, and I knew I had found something that was gonna turn my life around. Wearing a dead man's hat is not like wearing his shoes. It can fit real tight and still be right. Even when you've got the blues, the women see me as an old guy who knows where it's at. There's nothing, I swear, that can quite compare to wearing a dead man's hat. Well, this hat is something special. Gray felt with a large black band. Fits me like a custom job and puts me in command. The guy who owned this hat is somewhere pushing up dirt and flowers, and that may be the very key to all of its magic powers. If guys only knew the feeling I get whenever I put it on, they'd be asking friends to will them hats whenever they're gone. Wearing a dead man's hat is not like wearing his clothes. It connects your head to a feller who's dead, and the feeling grows and grows. You do cool things, and when you talk you sound like a diplomat. There's nothing, I swear, that can quite compare to wearing a dead man's hat. Wearing a dead man's hat. Wearing a dead man's hat. Hello, I'm Mr. Joe, and that song is one that I wrote probably back in about 2000, after my students encouraged me to go to the open mic. And I always get the question, is that a dead man's hat? And the answer is yes, this is a dead, this is a dead man's hat. One of my colleagues over at the university, Professor Medlin, came out of the building one day wearing this hat, and I said, man, that's a cool hat. And he just took it off his head, and he said, I want you to have it. Belonged to my late father. I really first didn't want to take it, but gee, guy offered me a dead man's hat when I already had a song, and he'd heard the song, so he knew about it. Let's see. Produced the CD, which was called "Welcome to My Hat," based on that song. I had tried to have something for everybody. I had something for the old folks. There's a black Cadillac with a door on the back, and it's waiting just for you. It may be today, it may be tomorrow, or when you're 102. But the man who owns that car will one day show you what it's like inside. How's it gonna feel in that box of steel when you take your very last ride? You won't feel nothing, Jack, 'cause you'll be dead. There'll be no more thoughts of things you'd like to do dancing around in your head. It'll be too late to fill your plate with all that stuff you've never done. Don't waste another day while you're okay. Get out and have some fun. We walk around blind to the passing of time 'cause we're just too busy to see that the clock on the wall is a wake-up call that's intended for you and me. When you breathe your last, go out with a blast to meet and greet your maker. How's it gonna feel in that box of steel when your chauffeur is the undertaker? You won't feel nothing, Jack, 'cause you'll be dead. There'll be no more thoughts of things you'd like to do dancing around in your head. It'll be too late to fill your plate with all that stuff you've never done. Don't waste another day while you're okay. Get out and have some fun. Get out and have some fun. Get out and have some fun. And let's see, on that same CD, for the young people, I had this song. I wave and say hello to a stranger, and the response is nothing, nada. Either that person is blind and deaf, or still marching to orders from mama, who taught about the danger of talking to a stranger anywhere or anytime on this green earth. God forbid you decide you're not a kid and disappoint the woman who gave you birth. You're a big girl, Sam. You're a big boy, Sue. It's time to stop letting others think for you. Time to come out from under mama's skirt. Cross the street, play in the dirt. When you were small, she did it all, and you can thank your lucky stars for that. Time to move on, sing your own song, use your head for more than just a place to hang your hat. I know people with a college education who still depend on mama to pay the rent. If they ever leave space and join the human race, they'll have to learn to spell employment. Eagles push their babies off the cliffs. That's the only way they ever learn to fly. If mama won't push, maybe you should jump. Kiss that codependency goodbye. You're a big girl, Sam. You're a big boy, Sue. It's time to stop letting others think for you. Time to come out from under mama's skirt. Cross the street, play in the dirt. When you were small, she did it all, and you can thank your lucky stars for that. Time to move on, sing your own song, use your head for more than just a place to hang your hat. So let's see, then there's the second CD was called The Unsinkable Mr. Joe, and there's a story about that, but I don't have time to tell it here today. But it's got some songs that I sort of like. One was very strange. No, maybe I shouldn't do the strange. I'll do the strange songs. It was based on an article in the local paper. They found some fella in a van in the north part of town, and the van was full of beer cans, and he'd died, and they found him there, and then they started digging in the beer cans, and underneath all the cans they found his mother, who had also perished in the van. Anyhow, it goes like this. There were headlines on the front page, and this is what they said. Woman and a man found in a van, and he and his mother were dead. They were covered up in beer cans, a smelly metal maze. He'd been gone a few hours, but she'd been dead for days. You can bury me on the lone prairie. You can sprinkle my ashes in
fancy funeral. I've made no plans, but please don't bury me in a pile of beer cans. Now, as soon as I read this story, I felt a song coming on. My friend said, if anyone can write it, you're the one. He said, you'll never find a word to rhyme with rigor mortis. But I proved him wrong, because here's a song about more than one can-covered carcass. You can bury me on the lone prairie. You can sprinkle my ashes in Tennessee. No fancy funeral, I've made no plans, but please don't bury me in a pile of beer cans. What was this poor man thinking on Mama's final day? Did he think that she would want to be remembered this way? One thought must have consumed him when he was all alone. Now that Mama's in heaven, the beer lasts twice as long. You can bury me on the lone prairie. You can sprinkle my ashes in Tennessee. No fancy funeral, I've made no plans, but please don't bury me in a pile of beer cans. for you. You're the reason for everything I do. Our common ground of sound is forever fresh and new. The music in my heart is for you. My music helps me say I care. It's better whenever you're there. I know of nothing finer than the joys we share. My music helps me say I care. Good music is a gift for you and me, helping us explore every possibility to be the people we were meant to be. Good music is a gift for you and me. The music in my heart is for you. You're the reason for everything I do. Our common ground of sound is forever fresh and new. The music in my heart is for you.
Follow your dreams, and they say, do what you want, and money will come. Lots of people